So this is, of course, Ashwapati's continuing realizations, continuing things that are pouring into him, pouring into his being,
Right.
as he's becoming this powerful sage or Sri Aurobindo the Avatar.
Mm-hmm.
So the first line we have is a good bit to talk about. So
Sure. I'll continue, sir. Yeah.
yes,
Then stooped the eagles of omniscience. A dense veil was rent. A
no, a
mighty
dense veil.
veil, sorry. A dense veil was rent. A mighty whisper heard, repeated in the privacy of his soul. A wisdom cry from rapt transcendences sang on the mountain of an unseen world. The voices that an inner listening hears conveyed to him their prophet utterances and flame wrapped outburst of the immortal word and flashes of an occult revealing light approached him from the unreachable secrecy.
Yeah, there are a few things that you don't know the passage, so
Mm-hmm.
you're reading lines without connecting them to
Right.
the general thought. So
Mm.
thence stoop the eagles of omniscience is clear because there's a full stop after that.
Mm-hmm.
And Alok tells us
Mm-hmm.
that um, that these are the messengers of truth and light that stoop down from the empire of the supermental sun and
Okay.
fill the aspirant to truth with intuitive insights. Nolini is much simpler. He says it is the image of the powerful soaring of the divine.
Okay.
So we see that these eagles of omniscience
Uh-huh.
have stooped down to
Mm-hmm.
pour things into Ashwapati. And so we see the first things that they are pouring in
Uh-huh.
happen because there's a dense veil that was torn
Uh-huh.
between him and the divine.
Oh.
And then he heard a mighty whisper.
Mm.
But that mighty whisper was only repeated in the privacy of his soul.
Oh.
And also it was a wisdom cry. Note that Sri Aurobindo hyphenates the word wisdom cry.
Mm-hmm.
It was a wisdom cry from rapt transcendences. Now we know that something that is rapt is like transported,
Mm-hmm.
something that's ecstatic. Huh?
Right.
So it's a wisdom cry from these ecstatic transcendences. Now, where did they come from? Or where did they go? They sang on the mountains of an unseen world. And notice then that he has a semicolon because
Mm-hmm.
he's continuing this whole thing. And see, that's what you lost. You lost that whole connection.
Mm-hmm.
And so now he's going to tell us that these voices that an inner listening hears conveyed to him, to Ashwapati, their prophet utterances. Prophet here we can say is prophetic
Mm-hmm.
utterances. And then these flame wrapped outbursts of the immortal word. Notice he capitalizes word. Again,
Right.
there's so many things in this passage that are so extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
I want to read to you about the word because we haven't done that yet. And in the future poetry, which few people read, he tells us about this word. He says, the word is a sound expression of the idea. In the supraphysical plane, when an idea has to be realized, one can, by repeating the word expression of it, produce vibrations which prepare the mind for the realization of the idea. This is extremely important for you to know, extremely important, because he tells us next that that is the principle of the mantras and japa. One repeats the name of the divine, and the vibrations created in the consciousness prepare the realization of the divine. This is extremely important. It is the same idea that is expressed in the Bible. God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. It is creation by the word.
Okay.
Now, let's go over that once again, that whole thing. That the word is a sound expression. It's a sound expression of the idea. Now, when we want to realize that idea, we speak the word of that idea. So when we say mother, that is our japa or our mantra. And we repeat that. And those vibrations that are created in our consciousness, notice, prepare the realization of the divine.
Right.
Okay? So I wanted to really share that with you. It's so important.
Yes.
It is out of this silence that the word which creates the worlds forever proceeds. And what is that word? Om. Om is the creator of all these words.
Okay.
Okay. And flashes of an occult, that means a hidden, revealing light. You see the word occult here almost is hidden, but revealed, almost an opposite, a hidden yet revealing light. Sri Aurobindo uses these terms very, very carefully. But he sees flashes, he experiences flashes of this light that is primarily a spiritual manifestation of the divine reality. That's what he's seeing. And what else is happening now?
Okay. Thank you, Narad, sir. That word means a lot. I mean, I absolutely understand you giving me the underlining meaning of that. One thing, Narad sir, I wanted to say is the mantra, when you repeat it, almost has that power of manifestation, right?
Of realization, yes.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I attend one of these other Dasbodh sessions, and a few of the sadhakas, we used to sort of practice their sadhana before 6 in the morning. So they said, if you are waiting to sort of achieve something and that's not getting achieved, then you do the japa with the with whatever you want to achieve, and that's not sort of getting granted. You do it at a particular time before 6 in the morning. You can do the japa of any god which is your ishta devata, but that repeated word, that repeated mantra helps the power to grant you that wish. I mean, I was, those thoughts were just going through my mind as you were revealing.
Yes, yes, yes. It does, but here in our yoga, it's more than something that just grants us our wish. If
Uh-huh.
we are using the mother's name in our japa, eventually mother will come to us. She'll actually come to us and lead us. We can, if we cannot see her, we can feel her in the heart. If we cannot feel her, we have to have the faith that she has come, that she
Right.
has changed, that she is changing us. So this is a very important passage, and I'd like you to read it again
Sure.
from the beginning.
Okay, Narad sir.
Thence. Thence is an interesting word. Thence is more like almost immediately. It happened thence. It happened thence. Thence something happened. So what happened? Thence stooped. They stooped. These eagles of omniscience stooped down towards Ashwapati to give him something. So there's a full stop after the word. So you don't want to feel that it continues on here. Not yet. It's just thence stooped the eagles of omniscience. Period. Okay?
Yep.
Okay, carry on.
Okay. A dense wheel was rent, a mighty whisper heard.
Now you
Repeated.
have to get this veil, not
Oh,
veal.
wait.
Veal is meat, huh?
Veil is the cover. Yeah.
Veil, ale. If
Yeah.
something is
Yeah.
ailing you, it's
Yeah.
pronounced just like ale. A dense veil.
Uh-huh. Veil. Okay. A dense veil was rent, a mighty whisper heard, repeated in the privacy of his soul.
And the British people usually pronounce privacy.
Privacy. Okay. Privacy. Okay. Privacy. Okay. Repeated in the privacy of his soul, a wisdom cry from rapt transcendences sang on the mountains of an unseen world. The
Yeah,
voices.
you that was almost a period there. Sang on the mountains of an unseen world, but he wants to continue to tell you what is happening to Ashwapati. So you have to have a little pause, a little bit longer pause perhaps, but not the pause of a full stop.
Okay. So you're saying between transcendences and sang, right? Though sang is capitalized, the pause has to be uh, not too long, is what you're saying, right, Narad sir?
Yes, correct.
Okay. A wisdom cry from rapt transcendences sang on the mountains of an unseen world. The voices that an inner listening ears conveyed to him their prophet utterances and flame wrapped outbursts of the immortal word and flashes of an occult revealing light approached him from the unreachable secrecy.
So a couple of things more. I'm sorry that I have to work so hard with you on this one, but I'd like you to get it correct.
Sure,
It's
Narad sir.
not,
Thank you. Yeah.
it's not a wisdom cry,
Uh-huh.
a hyphenated word. It's a wisdom cry. A wisdom cry.
A wisdom cry. Okay, you have to say it together. Okay.
Now you got it. Now you got it. Yeah.
Wisdom cry.
So it's a wisdom cry from where? From rapt transcendences.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And what happens now? Well, what does that wisdom cry do? Because there's no comma there. So obviously it's the next line that wisdom cry sang on the mountains of an unseen world. Okay? Then he has another semicolon, and he says to us, the voices that an inner listening hears convey to him their prophet utterances. And then again, and flame-wrapped outbursts of the immortal word. This is such a passage, you see. It's so, and flashes. So you got flame-wrapped, you've got flashes, you've got revealing light, all of these things that he's telling us. One came to him, approached him from the unreachable secrecy. There is a secrecy that's unreachable, and that's the transcendent, where there's no thought, there's no speech, there's nothing, but what reached him is all of the above that came from the unreachable secrecy.
So it's the new knowledge coming down, is it, Narad sir? Because they say a wisdom cry. Is that associated with some new knowledge that's getting revealed?
The whole thing is about that.
Or the whole thing?
The thing is about that. It talks of these rivers that are pouring down, these visits of beauty, these storm sweeps, another hyphenated word, these storm sweeps of delight that rain down from the all-powerful mystery above. So he calls it a mystery. And then we see that these eagles of omniscience, this soaring of the divine, come to him. And therefore this dense veil was torn apart, and he heard this mighty whisper, but it was repeated in the privacy of his soul, and a wisdom cry from rapt transcendences sang on the mountains of an unseen world. And then he continues, the voices that an inner listening hears. So this was not an outer listening at all. This was in his soul that he heard it. And very often in our experiences, when we go beyond the mind, the subtle physical world, we receive revealing words, revealing indications that we would not receive from the outer listening. It could only happen through an inner listening. And that inner listening conveyed, when you convey something, you bring it across, conveyed to him their prophet utterances. And then we have the flame-wrapped outbursts. And after that, we have even more. You see? Flashes of this hidden, this occult revealing light. And all of them approach him from the unreachable secrecy. So I think we've covered the passage.
Yeah.
And we can go a little
Thank you,
bit.
Narad sir. I mean, this is very, very powerful. Just have to imagine one screen after the other, the way you were giving out the meaning. But thank you so much.
You're welcome. There's more now. Because Sri Aurobindo is not finished with telling us about this. So let's continue a few more lines.
Sure. An inspired knowledge sat enthroned within, whose seconds illumined more than reason's years. And ictus.
Ictus.
An ictus of revealing lustre fell, as if appointing a scent upon truth.
No, the word is accent.
Accent, okay.
As if appointing accent upon truth.
Okay. As if appointing accent upon truth. And like a sky flare showing all the ground, a swift, intuitive discernment shown.
Lot to cover here.
Mm,
So this is a very, very important aspect of Ashwapati's knowledge, of his growth, of his inner growth. So we see that all these things have already approached him from the unreachable secrecy.
right.
But inside him now,
Mm-hmm.
this inspired knowledge is sitting like on a throne within him, enthroned within.
Mm,
It's enthroned in him. It's already in him.
yeah.
And he says in the synthesis of yoga, knowledge is not a systematized result of mental questionings and reasonings, not a temporary arrangement of conclusions and opinions in the terms of the highest probability, but rather a pure, self-existent, and self-luminous truth. Notice he hyphenates both self-existent and self-luminous truth.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot get this knowledge through mental questionings. You can't get it through reasonings. You can't get it through all the systems we use of inference and other things. It's not a temporary arrangement even of conclusions and of opinions. And it has nothing to do with probability, because it's a self-existent, and it's a pure self-existent and self-luminous truth. So then he has a little bit more on letters on yoga, which I'll read, very short. By knowledge, we mean in yoga not thought or ideas about spiritual things, but psychic understanding from within and spiritual illumination from above. That's the only way we can get the true knowledge. Sometimes we can get it from a teacher who opens up a glimpse for us in a talk. Ranganathan does this very often. He, very in his humility, he will open something and suddenly we'll get it. So it is not ideas about spiritual things, but a psychic understanding from within. And we receive that psychic understanding when we understand, when we realize that knowledge is not systematized results of mental questionings and reasonings. Not at all. So we go on now a little bit and see what else he says. He says here, an ictus of revealing luster fell. An ictus is like in music or prosody, it's a stress.
Okay.
Now, it's a stress that marks a rhythm. So we have, it was the hour before the gods awake.
Mm-hmm.
5 beats, 5 strokes. In music, it can happen in one section where there'll be a specific beat. Dum, bum, 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 bum. So we see this ictus, but it's an ictus, it's a stroke or a beat of revealing luster. Luster, is, of course, is a reflected light. And it fell, and what did it, and when it fell, what did it do? It pointed, it's like a pointing accent upon truth. So he's experiencing that these seconds that he's experienced illumined more than reason's years. See, reason and logic have no place in the spiritual life. We have to be above them, because they are always comparing things. They're always saying, well, this is good, this is not good. No, everything is illumined in a different way, even through the seconds in Aswapati. And this revealing luster that fell, that's like a pointing accent upon truth. And like a sky flare, again, another hyphenated word, sky flare, showing all the ground. Then what happened? This marvelous line, a swift, intuitive discernment shown. If we have a discernment, we have an insight, we have a perception, we have a very acuteness of judgment, discrimination, and understanding. And this is a definition from the dictionary. So, well, we've gone a long time today on a couple of sections, so we'll stop here and I'll ask you to read from the beginning. Have you been recording? I hope so.
Yes.
Right. Okay, fine.
Sure. Yeah. There is a lot. I'm going to try my best, Narad sir. But thank you again. I'll repeatedly hear this recording.
We can do it. We can do it again and again. It doesn't matter.
Sure. Thence stooped the eagles of omniscience. A dense veil was rent, a mighty whisper.
A dense veil was rent.
A dense veil was rent, a mighty whisper heard, repeated in the privacy of his soul. Wisdom cry from rapt transcendences sang on the mountains of an unseen world. The voices that an inner listening hears conveyed to him their prophet utterances and flame-wrapped outbursts of the immortal word and flashes of an occult revealing light approached him from the unreachable secrecy. An inspired knowledge sat enthroned within, whose seconds illumined more than reason's years. An ictus of revealing lustre fell, as if appointing a sin upon.
Okay, let's go back. First of all, it's an ictus of revealing luster. Luster. It's pronounced like an ER, but it's the British spelling of luster. We would call it L-U-S-T, we would spell it L-U-S-T-E-R in America. But the British spell it L-U-S-T-R-E, so it's luster.
Okay, luster. Okay. An ictus of revealing luster fell, as if appointing accent upon truth, and like a sky flare showing all the ground, a swift intuitive discernment shown.
I'd like you to read it over a few times this week and get more the feeling of this descent that has taken place within Savitri, within Sri Aurobindo, you see. It's happened very, very quickly, because when these eagles of omniscience stoop down, it opens up the whole being. It's like not a flare, he calls it a sky flare. The sky flare, you know, when the soldiers are in the war, and they want, they send for a helicopter to save them. They'll send up this huge sky flare, and the helicopter will see it and know that they're down there. It's like a sky flare showing all the ground, everything around.
Right.
Namaste.
Namaste, Narad sir. Thank you again. Yeah, I will read it more times.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Bye.